The stars were quiet in the outer edges of Vellani space. For 3,000 years, the Vellani hegemony had ruled this sector of the galaxy. They had conquered 12 species. They had built an empire that stretched across 400 star systems. No one challenged them. No one dared. Admiral Counselor Mirith stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. He was tall, even by Vellani standards. His gray skin was marked with the ceremonial scars of 30 victories. His 4 eyes scanned the darkness of space with the confidence of a predator who had never known fear. "Admiral," his sensor officer called out, "we have detected a vessel. Unknown configuration. It is traveling along the new trade route." Mirith turned slowly. A smile crossed his thin lips. "Unknown? Show me." The main screen flickered to life. Against the blackness of space, a ship moved with purpose. It was not large by Vellani standards. Perhaps half the size of the Eternal Dominion. Its hull was dark gray, almost black. Sharp angles and flat surfaces gave it an aggressive appearance. No curves, no elegance. It looked like it had been built for one purpose only. "What species?" Mirith asked. "Scanning now, Admiral." The sensor officer paused. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "It appears to be human." Mirith let out a sound of amusement. "Human, the newcomers. I have read the reports. They emerged from their little blue world only 2 centuries ago. Primitive, emotional, barely worth our attention. Should we ignore them, Admiral?" "No." Mirith straightened his uniform. "This is an opportunity. We will show them the power of the hegemony. They will learn their place in our galaxy. Signal the fleet. We intercept." 12 Vellani warships changed course. They moved in perfect formation, like predators circling prey. The Eternal Dominion led the way, its weapons already warming up. Not for attack, just for show. The Vellani had learned long ago that intimidation was often more effective than violence. On board the human vessel, Captain Una Park sat in her command chair. She was a small woman with short black hair and calm eyes. Her uniform was simple and functional. No decorations. No medals on display. She had earned many, but she never wore them. "Captain," Lieutenant Taiho Shin said from his tactical station. 12 vessels approaching. Formation suggests hostile intent. Park nodded slowly. She had been expecting this. The Vellani hegemony had been watching human expansion for years. It was only a matter of time before they made contact. "Identification?" she asked. "Vellani hegemony. The lead ship is a command-class vessel. The others are standard warships." Taiho paused. "They are charging weapons." "Charging, not firing," Park observed. "They want to scare us. Should we be scared, Captain?" Park almost smiled. "Almost. No, Lieutenant. But let them have their moment. Open a channel." The communication screen activated. Admiral Mirith's face appeared. His 4 eyes studied Park with obvious contempt. "Human vessel," Mirith announced. "You have entered Vellani space. You will power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Your ship and crew will be taken to our home world for processing. Resist, and you will be destroyed." Park remained silent for a long moment. Her crew watched her. No one moved. No one spoke. "Admiral Mirith," she finally said. Her voice was calm and steady. "I am Captain Una Park of the interstellar ship Hammer of Dawn. We are conducting a routine patrol of established trade routes. We are not in Vellani territory according to the galactic coordinates agreed upon by the Trade Council." Mirith laughed. It was an ugly sound. "The Trade Council means nothing here. The Vellani hegemony decides what is Vellani space, and we have decided that this region belongs to us. You will surrender, Captain. This is not a request." Park leaned forward slightly. And if we refuse, then I will destroy your little ship and send the pieces back to your Earth as a warning. Mirith's eyes narrowed. Do not test me, human. I have conquered species far more powerful than yours. Your kind is young, weak. You do not know how the galaxy works. Park nodded slowly. I see. Admiral, before you make any decisions, I suggest you scan our vessel. Properly this time. Not the surface scan your sensors have been running. Mirith's expression changed slightly. Confusion mixed with anger. You dare give me orders? It is not an order. It is a suggestion. For your own benefit. The channel went silent. Mirith stared at the screen for a long moment. Then he turned to his sensor officer. Deep scan, now. The sensor officer worked his console. The Eternal Dominion's advanced sensors reached out toward the human ship. They penetrated the hull. They analyzed the power systems. They measured the weapons. They calculated the shield strength. The sensor officer stopped. His four eyes went wide. His gray skin turned pale. Admiral? His voice trembled. Report, Mirith demanded. The readings. They must be wrong. The sensors must be damaged. Mirith crossed the bridge in 3 long steps. He looked at the data on the screen. His hearts began to beat faster. 2 of them, then 3. All 4 were pounding against his chest. The human ship's reactor was outputting more energy than the entire Volani fleet combined. Its hull was made of materials the Volani database could not identify. Its weapons. The weapons defied explanation. Kinetic accelerators capable of launching projectiles at significant fractions of light speed. Energy weapons that operated on principles the Volani had only theorized about. And the shields. The shields could withstand the full firepower of every ship in the fleet for hours. This is impossible, Mirith whispered. There is more, Admiral. The sensor officer's voice was barely audible. The ship's classification. I found it in an intercepted human transmission. They call this vessel a light patrol ship. It is not a warship. It is not a battleship. It is their smallest armed vessel. Mirith felt something he had not felt in decades. Something cold crawled up his spine. Something primal. Something his ancestors had felt when they were prey instead of predator. Fear. On the Hammer of Dawn. Park watched the Volani fleet. She could see the subtle changes in their formation. The slight drift. The hesitation. They had completed their scan. They knew. Lieutenant Shin, she said quietly. Prepare weapons. Defense pattern only. We do not fire unless they do. Yes, Captain. Park opened the communication channel again. Mirith's face appeared. He looked different now. The arrogance was gone. In its place was uncertainty. Admiral Mirith, Park said. You have scanned our vessel. You now understand what you are facing. I will give you 1 chance to withdraw. 1 chance. Take it. Mirith stared at her. His 4 eyes searched for deception. They found none. You are bluffing, he said. But his voice was weak. Park shook her head slowly. The Volani have conquered for 3,000 years because you never met anything stronger. Today, that changes. You have stirred something you do not understand. I am giving you the opportunity to walk away. Not because I fear you, but because I do not want unnecessary death. She leaned back in her chair. Choose wisely, Admiral. You will not get another chance. The channel closed. The stars remained quiet. But something had changed. The Predator had just discovered that it was not alone at the top of the food chain, and the monster was awake. Science Officer Velith had served the Volani hegemony for 40 years. He had analyzed the technology of 12 conquered species. He had studied weapons that could crack moons. He had seen engines that bent space itself. Nothing had prepared him for what he was seeing now. He ran the scan again. Then again. Then a fourth time. The results remained the same. Admiral Mirith stood behind him. The Admiral's breathing was heavy. His 4 eyes were fixed on the data scrolling across the screen. "Explain it to me," Mirith said. His voice was different now, quieter. The arrogance had cracked. Veleth took a deep breath. "Admiral, I will start with their hull. The materials are unlike anything in our database. Our analysis suggests they were forged at temperatures we cannot achieve. Our best furnaces reach 12,000 degrees. This material was created at temperatures exceeding 50,000 degrees. That is impossible," Mirith said. But he did not sound convinced. "I thought so too. But the molecular structure does not lie." Veleth pulled up another display. "The reactor is worse. Much worse. We use fusion cores. They work well. They have powered our civilization for millennia. The humans have something different. Different how?" Veleth hesitated. "They appear to have created a stable, contained stellar reaction. In simple terms, Admiral, they have put a small star inside their ship." Mirith said nothing. He could not speak. "The energy output is massive," Veleth continued. "One of their patrol ships produces more power than our largest orbital station. And this is, according to our intelligence, their smallest armed vessel." On the Hammer of Dawn, Commander Jisoo Kang monitored the tactical situation. She was a tall woman with sharp features and sharper eyes. She had served on the front lines of 3 conflicts. She had seen what human weapons could do. She took no pleasure in it, but she understood the necessity. "The Volani fleet is holding position," she reported to Captain Park. "They have not powered down weapons, but they are not advancing either." Park nodded. "They are trying to decide what to do. Their entire understanding of the galaxy has just been challenged." Chief Engineer Do-Hwan Roo spoke from his station. "Captain, I am reading elevated energy fluctuations in their lead ship. They are running their sensors at maximum capacity. They are trying to learn everything they can about us." "Let them look," Park said. "The more they understand, the less likely they are to do something foolish." On the Eternal Dominion, Veleth had moved to the weapons analysis. Each new piece of information made his situation feel more hopeless. "Their primary weapons are kinetic accelerators," he explained to Mirith. "But not like ours. Our kinetic weapons fire projectiles at perhaps 5% of light speed, fast enough to destroy most targets. Their weapons fire at over 40% of light speed." Mirith's voice was a whisper. 40%? "Yes, Admiral. At that velocity, a projectile the size of my fist would carry the energy of a nuclear detonation. And these are not their largest weapons. Our scans detected missile tubes designed for much heavier payloads. The database classified them as extinction-class weapons." "Extinction class?" Veleth's 4 eyes met the Admiral's. "Weapons designed to end all life on a planet, Admiral. They carry them as standard equipment." Mirith walked away from the console. He needed space. He needed to think. For 3,000 years, the Volani had been the dominant power in this region of space. They had conquered through superior technology and superior numbers. They had never imagined that a species younger than their written history could surpass them so completely. Why? He asked the empty air. Why would they build such weapons? We have never threatened them. No one has threatened them. Veleth had been wondering the same thing. He had accessed the hegemony's intelligence files on humanity. The information was limited, mostly gathered from intercepted communications and long-range observations. But a picture had begun to form. "Admiral, I have been reviewing what we know of human history. It may explain their approach to warfare." Mirith turned. "Tell me. Humans come from a world they call Earth. It is what we would classify as a death world. extreme temperatures, violent weather patterns, dangerous predators, toxic plants, diseases that adapt faster than treatments can be developed. By all logic, intelligent life should not have evolved there. But it did. Yes, and the humans did not just survive. They became the apex predators of their world. They hunted every other species to submission. But that was not the interesting part. Velith pulled up a new display. The most dangerous thing on Earth was not the animals or the weather. It was other humans. Marith leaned closer to the screen. Images appeared. Primitive weapons, battles, cities in flames. Humans spent most of their history fighting themselves, Velith explained. They developed weapons specifically to kill other humans. Each generation built more powerful tools of destruction. They split the atom and used it as a bomb. They created chemicals that could kill millions. They developed diseases as weapons. They are insane, Marith said. Perhaps. But they are also survivors. They came close to destroying themselves many times. But they did not. Instead, they unified. And when they looked to the stars, they carried their experience with them. Velith pointed to an image of the Hammer of Dawn. They did not build ships for exploration first. They built warships because they expected the universe to be as dangerous as their home world. They expected every species they met to be a potential enemy. They prepared for the worst. And now they have found us, Marith said quietly. Yes, and we just confirmed their expectations by threatening them. On the Hammer of Dawn, Lieutenant Taiho Shin detected a change. Captain, the Vellani lead ship has powered up its primary weapon. They are taking aim. Park remained calm. At us? Uncertain. The firing solution is not complete. Commander Kang checked their own displays. If they fire, I can have a response ready in 2 seconds. Hold, Park ordered. Let them make the first move. But prepare kinetic round 7. Non-lethal demonstration. Kang understood immediately. Targeting the asteroid field at bearing 174. Park nodded. If they attack, we show them what they are dealing with. If they stand down, we give them a path to walk away. The seconds stretched into minutes. On the Eternal Dominion, Marith faced a choice. His pride demanded action. His intelligence demanded caution. His fear demanded retreat. Admiral, one of his officers called. The fleet is waiting for orders. Do we fire? Marith looked at the human ship on his screen. It was smaller than his vessel. It carried no visible decorations, no signs of rank or achievement. It was purely functional, purely deadly. One warning shot, he decided. Low power. A reminder that we are the Vellani hegemony. We do not back down. The officer hesitated. Admiral, given what we have learned, fire the warning shot. Now, a beam of blue energy lanced out from the Eternal Dominion. It crossed the gap between the fleets in an instant. It struck the Hammer of Dawn's shields, and it disappeared. The shields did not flicker. They did not strain. The energy was simply absorbed, like water poured into an ocean. On the human ship, Taiho Shin reported the attack. Energy weapon impact. No damage. Shields at 100%. Park nodded slowly. She had hoped the Vellani would choose wisdom. They had chosen pride instead. Commander Kang, she said quietly. Fire kinetic round 7. Target the asteroid. Firing. A single projectile launched from the Hammer of Dawn. It crossed thousands of kilometers in less than a second. It struck an asteroid nearly 3 kilometers wide. The asteroid did not crack. It did not break apart. It simply ceased to exist. One moment, 3 kilometers of rock and ice. The next moment, an expanding cloud of dust and plasma. Silence fell across both fleets. The Vellani crew stared at their screens. They had just witnessed their smallest armed ship demonstrate the power to destroy cities with a single shot. Admiral Mirith sat down heavily in his command chair. His legs could no longer support him. That was their lightest weapon, Velas said quietly. Admiral, we cannot win this fight. We cannot even survive it. Mirith stared at the dust cloud where the asteroid had been. He thought of his fleet, his crew, his family back home. The monster had shown its teeth, and the Admiral finally understood what it meant to be prey. The dust cloud from the destroyed asteroid spread slowly through space. Every sensor in the Volani fleet tracked its expansion. Every officer calculated the energy required to cause such complete destruction. Every soldier reconsidered their chances of survival. On the Hammer of Dawn, Sergeant Yunji Cho stood in the Marine ready room. Her squad was fully armored and armed. They were prepared for boarding action if necessary. But as she watched the tactical display, she suspected they would not be needed. The Volani are not moving, one of her soldiers observed. Are they frozen with fear? Cho shook her head. They are smart enough to be afraid. That is good. Afraid people think before they act. Confident people make mistakes. In the fighter bay, pilot Hyungu Nam sat in the cockpit of his attack craft. His squadron was ready to launch at a moment's notice. But like Sergeant Cho, he hoped they would not be needed. Control, this is Squadron Leader Nam. What is the status? Navigator Soman Lee responded from the bridge. All enemy vessels holding position. No movement. No additional weapons charging. They appear to be in a state of shock. Understood. We will remain ready. Captain Park watched the Volani fleet with patient eyes. She could see the subtle signs of confusion in their formation. Ships drifting slightly out of position. Communication channels flooding with traffic. Officers desperately seeking guidance from their admiral. Open a channel to the Volani flagship, she ordered. Lieutenant Minjio worked to console. Channel open, Captain. Admiral Mirith's face appeared on the screen. He looked older somehow. The arrogance was completely gone now. In its place was something Park had seen many times before. The face of a commander who had realized he was completely outmatched. Admiral Mirith, Park said. I hope that demonstration was educational. Mirith's voice was rough. You destroyed a 3-kilometer asteroid with a single shot. Yes, that was our smallest kinetic weapon. We call it a warning shot. Mirith's 4 eyes closed briefly. When they opened, they held a different emotion. Not fear anymore. Resignation. Captain Park, I must ask you directly. What do humans want? Conquest? Revenge? The destruction of the hegemony? Park leaned back in her chair. This was the moment she had been waiting for. The moment when force gave way to understanding. Admiral, humans want nothing from you. We did not come here seeking conflict. We were patrolling our trade routes. You came to us. You threatened us. You fired on us. And now you will destroy us in return. No. Park shook her head. I could destroy your fleet, Admiral. Right now. In less than 30 seconds. Every ship. Every crew member. Gone. The Hammer of Dawn has that capability. Mirith said nothing. He believed her completely. But that is not what humans do, Park continued. We do not start wars, Admiral. We finish them. We do not seek conflict. But when conflict finds us, we end it so completely that no one considers challenging us again. Then what happens now? Park leaned forward slightly. Now, you have a choice. You can withdraw your fleet. Report to your superiors what you have seen. Recommend that the Volani hegemony seek peaceful relations with Earth. No one needs to die today. And if I choose differently, then you and your 12 ships become a lesson for the rest of the galaxy. A demonstration of what happens when you threaten humanity. Park's voice remained calm, but her eyes were hard. "I would prefer the first option, Admiral. I have no desire to kill your crews. They are soldiers following orders. They do not deserve death for your government's arrogance." On the Eternal Dominion, Science Officer Velith watched the exchange. He found himself hoping the Admiral would choose wisely. The data did not lie. They could not win. They could not even survive. Mirith sat in silence for a long moment. His entire career had been built on strength, on dominance, on never showing weakness. But this was different. This was not weakness. This was survival. This was survival. "Captain Park," he said finally, "I must consult with my government. This decision is beyond my authority." "I understand. You have 1 hour. After that, I will consider the absence of a response to be a hostile action." The channel closed. Park turned to her crew. "Stand down from combat alert. Maintain readiness, but give them space to think." Lieutenant Shin looked uncertain. "Captain, are you sure we should give them time? They might use it to call for reinforcements." Park allowed herself a small smile. "Lieutenant, they could call every ship in the hegemony. It would not matter. We are one patrol ship. They are 12 warships. And we have already demonstrated that we are not in danger. Let them call for help. Let the entire galaxy hear what happened here today." Sergeant Cho's voice came over the internal channel. "Captain, the Marines are standing down. But I have a question, if I may." "Go ahead, Sergeant." "Why do we always give them a choice? The Valani threatened us. They fired on us. In most military doctrines, that justifies a full response." Park considered the question carefully. It was a good question, one that every human officer faced at some point. "Because we are not monsters, Sergeant. We have the power of monsters. We have the weapons of monsters. But we choose when to use them. That choice is what separates us from actual monsters." In the ready room, Cho nodded slowly. She understood. The strength was not in the weapons. The strength was in the restraint. On the Valani flagship, Mirith was connected to the highest levels of government. High Counselor Sareth herself joined the emergency conference. Her image appeared on multiple screens, ancient and wise, her gray skin marked with the scars of 2,000 years of leadership. "Show me the scan data," she commanded. Mirith transmitted everything. The hull composition, the reactor output, the weapons analysis, the extinction-class missiles. All of it. Sareth studied the information in silence. Unlike Mirith, she did not panic. She had seen empires rise and fall. She had watched species evolve from prey to predator and back again. But even she felt a chill at what she saw. "Admiral," she said finally, "you encountered a patrol ship. Their smallest armed vessel." "Yes, High Counselor." "And it could destroy your entire fleet in seconds." "Yes, High Counselor." Sareth closed her 4 eyes. She thought of the hegemony. 3,000 years of dominance. 3,000 years of believing they were the strongest. All of it challenged by a young species from a death world. "Historian Verith has been studying humanity since we first detected their signals," Sareth said. "He warned us that they were different. We did not listen. What do you command, High Counselor?" Sareth opened her eyes. "Withdraw, Admiral. Return to our space. We will send a diplomatic envoy to Earth. We will seek peaceful relations." Mirith felt relief flood through him. "Thank you, High Counselor." "Do not thank me, Admiral. I am not doing this for you. I am doing this for the hegemony. For our species. We have survived for 3,000 years by knowing when to fight and when to adapt." She paused. "This is a time to adapt." The channel closed. Mirith turned to his crew. "Signal the fleet. We are withdrawing." No one protested. No one questioned the order. They had all seen the asteroid disappear. They all understood. On the Hammer of Dawn, Navigator Lee reported the news. "Captain, the Volani fleet is powering down weapons. They are turning away. They are withdrawing." Park nodded slowly. Relief flickered in her eyes, just for a moment. Then she was all business again. "Open a channel to Admiral Mirith." Mirith appeared on the screen. He looked tired but resolved. "Admiral," Park said, "you have chosen wisely. I have chosen survival, Captain. There is no wisdom in extinction. There is wisdom in recognizing reality. Your government will send diplomats to Earth. We will welcome them. Humanity does not seek enemies. We prefer allies." Mirith nodded slowly. "Captain Park, I have one more question. In your history, when your species faced threats, did you always offer peace first?" Park smiled. It was a sad smile. "Not always, Admiral. We learned that lesson the hard way. We nearly destroyed ourselves before we understood that peace is always the better choice. Our weapons exist, so we never have to use them. A strange philosophy. Perhaps, but it has kept us alive. Safe travels, Admiral. We will meet again under better circumstances." The channel closed. The Volani fleet turned and began its journey home. The monster had shown its power and then shown its mercy. And somewhere in the galaxy, other species were already hearing the news. The unconquered Volani hegemony had bowed to a single human patrol ship. The universe would never look at humanity the same way again. 1 month had passed since the encounter that changed everything. The Volani hegemony had officially requested peaceful relations with Earth. The news had spread across the galaxy like ripples in a pond. Species that had never heard of humanity were now studying everything they could find about the small blue world and its terrifying inhabitants. Ambassador Asian Beak stood at the viewport of his transport ship. Below him, the Volani homeworld turned slowly. It was beautiful in its own way. Purple oceans, orange forests, cities that glowed with soft blue light. He was not arriving with a fleet. He was not arriving with demands or threats or ultimatums. He carried no weapons beyond the small sidearm that every human diplomat wore as a matter of tradition. His transport carried medical supplies, advanced treatments for diseases that plagued the Volani population, agricultural technology that could increase food production by 300%, educational materials that would help Volani scientists understand human engineering principles, gifts freely given. No strings attached that the transport descended through the atmosphere. Volani escort ships surrounded it, not as guards against the human, but as guards protecting the human. High Counselor Sereth had made it clear nothing would happen to the ambassador while he was in Volani space. Admiral Mirith waited at the landing pad. He looked different from the arrogant commander who had threatened Captain Park. His posture was more humble. His 4 eyes showed respect rather than contempt. The transport touched down. Ambassador Beak descended the ramp. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. His uniform was simple. No medals, no decorations. Just the symbol of Earth's diplomatic corps on his chest. Mirith stepped forward. "Ambassador Beak, on behalf of the Volani hegemony, I welcome you to our home world." Beak smiled and extended his hand. Mirith had learned about this gesture. He clasped the human's hand firmly. "Admiral Mirith, I have heard much about you. You made a wise decision that day. Many lives were saved because of your choice." Mirith's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. He had expected many things from the humans. Gloating demands, perhaps subtle insults. He had not expected gratitude. "I made the only decision possible, Ambassador. Your Captain Park showed me a truth I could not ignore." "She has a talent for clarity," Beak agreed. "Now, I understand High Counselor Sereth is waiting for us. Shall we proceed? The journey to the Grand Council chambers took them through the heart of the Villani capital. Crowds gathered along the route. Thousands of Villani watched the human transport pass by. Some watched with fear, others with curiosity. A few, especially the younger ones, watched with something like hope. Word had spread about what the humans had brought. Medicine that could cure the blue wasting disease that killed thousands of Villani children each year. Technology that could end food shortages in the outer colonies. Knowledge that could advance Villani science by centuries. The humans were not coming as conquerors. They were coming as friends. High Counselor Sareth received Ambassador Beak in her private chambers. She was ancient, her gray skin marked with 2,000 years of scars and honors. But her 4 eyes were sharp, and her mind was sharper still. Ambassador Beak, she said, you bring gifts to a species that threatened to destroy your people. Why? Beak sat across from her. Because that is who we are, High Counselor. We have the power to destroy. We choose to build instead. Your Captain Park spoke of protection, of guarding what is yours. She also destroyed an asteroid with a single shot. Yes, she showed you what we can do. Now I am here to show you what we choose to do. Beak leaned forward slightly. High Counselor, humanity has learned lessons that no species should have to learn. We nearly destroyed ourselves. We watched our cities burn. We saw millions die in wars that achieved nothing. We came so close to extinction that we could taste it. Yet, you survived. We survived because we learned. We learned that the greatest strength is not the ability to destroy. It is the ability to choose when to destroy and when to heal. Beak smiled sadly. We built weapons that can end worlds. And then we decided that we would rather use our power to protect worlds instead. Sareth studied the human for a long moment. She had ruled the hegemony for 2,000 years. She had conquered species and signed treaties with others. But she had never encountered a species quite like humanity. Ambassador, I must ask you a question that has troubled me since I reviewed the scan data from Admiral Mirith's fleet. Ask? Your warships are beyond anything we have ever seen. Your weapons could destroy our entire civilization. Why do you not use that power? Why do you not conquer the galaxy as we did? Beak was silent for a moment. Then he spoke. Because we have seen what happens when species build empires through force. We have seen the cost, the suffering, the endless cycles of war and revenge. We decided that we did not want to be that kind of species. He stood and walked to the window. The Villani capital stretched out before him. Millions of lives, families, children, dreams and hopes and futures. Every life has value, High Counselor. Every species has something to offer. The universe is vast and full of wonders. Why would we want to destroy any of it when we could learn from it instead? On the Hammer of Dawn, Captain Park received the news that the diplomatic mission was proceeding smoothly. She stood on the bridge, watching the stars drift past the viewport. Captain, Lieutenant Shin said. Message from Earth Command. Priority Alpha. Park turned. On screen, the face of Admiral Junseok Khan appeared. He was the commander of Earth's outer fleet, and his expression was grim. Captain Park, we have a situation. The Varith Empire has threatened one of our colony worlds. They are demanding tribute and submission. They claim they have never heard of the Villani incident and do not fear humanity. Park nodded slowly. How many ships? 30 warships. They are holding position near the Sora colony. 200,000 human civilians are at risk. And our response? Admiral Han's expression hardened. You are the closest vessel. The Hammer of Dawn is to proceed to Sora colony immediately. You are authorized to use whatever force is necessary to protect our people. Understood, Admiral. We will depart immediately." The channel closed. Park turned to her crew. They had all heard. They all understood. Navigator Lee set course for Sora Colony. Maximum speed. Course laid in, Captain. Lieutenant Shin, bring all weapons to ready status. Weapons ready, Captain. Park sat down in her command chair. Her eyes were calm, but there was something cold behind them. Something that had been awakened. "The Varith Empire believes they do not fear humanity," she said quietly. "They will learn." Chief Engineer Ru looked up from his console. "Captain, we are ready. The Hammer of Dawn is at full power." Park nodded. "All hands, this is the captain. We are proceeding to Sora Colony. 200,000 of our people are in danger. The Varith Empire has threatened them. We will remind the Varith why that was a mistake." She looked at the stars streaming past as the ship accelerated. "Let's wake the monster." The Hammer of Dawn jumped to faster than light speed. In the darkness of space, a predator was moving. A guardian was answering a call for help, and somewhere in the galaxy, the Varith Empire was about to learn the same lesson the Volani had learned. The same lesson every species that threatened humanity would learn. Some monsters protect what they love. Some monsters show mercy to those who deserve it. But never mistake that mercy for weakness. Because when the monster wakes, stars tremble, and humanity was very much awake. 2 weeks had passed since the confrontation. The news had spread across the Volani hegemony like fire through dry grass. 12 warships had faced a single human vessel. 12 warships had retreated without firing a meaningful shot. The mighty hegemony, unconquered for 3 millennia, had met something it could not defeat. High Counselor Sarath had called an emergency meeting of the Grand Council. Every regional leader attended. Every military commander listened. And at the center of the discussion was one question. Who were these humans, and what did they truly want? Historian Varith stood before the council. He was old, even by Volani standards. His gray skin was thin and marked with age. But his 4 eyes were sharp, and his mind was sharper still. He had spent decades studying the species that emerged from the small blue world called Earth. "Counselors," he began, "I have been warning about humanity for 30 years. No one listened. Perhaps now you will." Sarath gestured for him to continue. "Tell us everything, historian." Varith activated a holographic display. Images of Earth appeared. Blue oceans, green continents, white clouds. Earth is what we call a death world. Every aspect of it is hostile to life. The gravity is heavy. The atmosphere contains a gas called oxygen that is highly reactive and toxic to most species. The weather produces storms that can level cities. The planet is covered with predators, parasites, and diseases that constantly evolve to become more deadly. Yet humans survived, one of the counselors observed. They did more than survive. They dominated. But here is the important part. Varith changed the display. Images of human history appeared. Wars, weapons, destruction. Humans did not become apex predators by fighting other species. They became apex predators by fighting each other. For most of their history, the greatest threat to any human was another human. The council watched in silence as images of human warfare scrolled past. Swords and spears gave way to guns and bombs. Cities burned. Armies clashed. Millions died. They developed weapons specifically designed to kill other humans, Varith explained. Each generation built more powerful tools of destruction. They split atoms for energy, and then used that same energy to create weapons that could destroy entire cities in an instant. They created biological agents that could wipe out populations. They built machines capable of ending all life on their planet. "They are insane," one counselor said. "No, they are survivors. They came to the edge of extinction many times. But they always pulled back. They always found a way to stop themselves. And with each crisis, they learned. They unified. They grew stronger. Vareth changed the display again. Now it showed human spacecraft. The first primitive rockets. The early colonies on their moon and nearby planets. And then the warships. When humans looked to the stars, they did not send explorers first. They sent soldiers, because they expected the universe to be as dangerous as their home world. They expected every alien species to be a potential enemy. They prepared for total war before they even knew if there was anyone to fight. High Counselor Sareth leaned forward. And their weapons? The scan data from Admiral Mirith's fleet? All accurate, High Counselor. Their technology has surpassed ours in every meaningful way. Their reactors are more powerful. Their materials are stronger. Their weapons are more destructive. Vareth paused. But that is not what makes them truly dangerous. Then what does? Their philosophy. Vareth pulled up a new image. A human document. Simple words in their strange language. Humans operate under what they call the doctrine of proportional overwhelming response. When threatened, they do not match force with equal force. They respond with such overwhelming power that no enemy can recover. They do not seek victory. They seek to make future conflict impossible. The council sat in troubled silence. This was not how the Vellani operated. The hegemony used measured force, controlled violence, strategic conquest. The idea of responding to a threat with total annihilation was foreign to their thinking. But Captain Park offered us peace, Sarah said. She could have destroyed Admiral Mirith's fleet. She chose not to. Yes, Vareth agreed. And that is perhaps the most important thing to understand about humans. They are capable of terrible destruction. But they choose when to use that capability. They prefer peace. They prefer trade. They prefer cooperation. But they are always prepared for war. On the Hammer of Dawn, Captain Park received word that a Vellani diplomatic vessel was requesting approach. She stood on the bridge, watching the small ship emerge from faster-than-light travel. It is a transport, Lieutenant Shin reported. Minimal weapons. Shields at standard civilian levels. They are being very careful, Park observed. Open a channel. A Vellani face appeared on the screen. Not a warrior this time. A diplomat. Her four eyes were calm, and her voice was measured. Captain Park, I am Ambassador Vellani. I have been sent by High Counselor Sareth to begin formal discussions between the Vellani hegemony and Earth. Park nodded. You are welcome here, Ambassador. We have prepared a meeting space on our ship. Or we can travel to a neutral location if you prefer. Your ship is acceptable, Captain. High Counselor Sareth has instructed me to show trust. We will demonstrate that the hegemony can adapt to new realities. The ambassador's transport docked with the Hammer of Dawn. Lieutenant Minji escorted her to the conference room where Captain Park waited. The two sat across from each other. Human and Vellani. Former enemies, perhaps future allies. The weight of history hung heavy in the air. Ambassador, Park began. Before we discuss terms, I want you to understand something. Humanity does not seek empire. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We want only to protect our people and live in peace with our neighbors. The ambassador studied Park carefully. Yet you build weapons capable of destroying planets. You carry extinction-class missiles on your patrol ships. These are not the tools of a peaceful species. They are the tools of a species that learned the hard way what happens when you are not prepared for the worst. Park's voice was steady. Humans nearly destroyed ourselves many times. We built these weapons because we knew that one day we might face enemies who would show us no mercy. We prepare for the worst so we can hope for the best. And if we had attacked your ship? If Admiral Mirith had fired with full force. Park met the ambassador's 4 eyes. Then I would have destroyed your fleet, every ship, every crew member, and I would have sent the message to your home world that humanity is not to be threatened. You would have killed thousands to protect billions. That is the calculation we make. That is the burden we carry. Park leaned forward. Ambassador, I do not enjoy this power. I do not seek opportunities to use it, but I will use it if necessary. Every human commander will, because we understand the cost of weakness. The ambassador was silent for a long moment. Then she spoke. High Counselor Sarath has a question for you. She has been thinking about it since she reviewed Admiral Mirith's report. Ask it. What do you want? If not conquest, if not revenge, if not tribute, then what does humanity want from the galaxy? Park smiled. It was a genuine smile, warm, almost friendly. We want to be left alone. We want to trade. We want to explore. We want to learn. We want to find other species who share our values of peace and cooperation. She paused. But we protect what is ours. Our colonies, our people, our allies. Threaten them, and we respond. Help them, and we help you in return. You would protect other species? Species not your own? We already have. 3 years ago, a species called Decorith were attacked by raiders. They had no military, no weapons. They called for help, and a human patrol ship answered. We saved them. We asked nothing in return. The ambassador's 4 eyes widened slightly. We did not know this. We do not advertise our acts of mercy. We only advertise our acts of war. It is a more effective deterrent. The ambassador considered this. It was a strange philosophy. Power and mercy combined. Weapons and compassion existing side by side. Captain Park, I believe we can work together. High Counselor Sarath will be pleased. The hegemony has learned today that there are species we cannot conquer. Perhaps it is time we learn to make friends instead. Park extended her hand. The ambassador looked at it with confusion. It is a human gesture, Park explained. We clasp hands when we make agreements. It symbolizes trust and mutual respect. The ambassador reached out. Her gray fingers wrapped around Park's hand. The grip was firm. Then let this be the beginning, the ambassador said. Humanity and the Volani hegemony. Former enemies. Future allies. Park shook her hand. The monster offers its protection. Use it wisely. The ambassador nodded. She understood. The humans were not conquerors. They were guardians. They had the power to destroy worlds and the wisdom to choose peace instead. And somewhere in the galaxy, that word was spreading. The humans had power beyond measure. And they were offering friendship. The universe was about to change.